One of my favorite teachers, she often says that if you want serious inner work, get married, have kids, or start a business, or all of them. And it's so funny because recently I am doing the third one, which is starting a business. And I can tell you that as soon as I started the business, I was like encountering so many new things in me that I feel like, oh, actually, I can feel this kind of way when I am in this kind of situation. So, for example, one of the things is about exposing myself on camera. And many people, they don't really do this because they are like feeling, oh, I need to be perfect, I need to, work on myself, and etc., etc. But then they never really start. But I can tell you, for example, many Chinese people, how they start the business is actually to, oh, there's this opportunity, let's go. And then let's figure things out on the way. And I was thinking, okay, I already learned a lot in personal development, and I already learned a lot on how to speak publicly. So even if it's not perfect, and even if sometimes I stumble on my words, etc., I still try my best. Like, just do it. Just do it and see how it goes, right? And another thing that I actually encountered, and at the beginning I didn't really understand because some people, as they were guiding me, they were telling me, Monica, bring more of you to your business because they are not really separate. Because when I started my business, I still have this seriousness, like, oh, I need to carry myself on in a certain way. I need to be like this. I need to be very serious, responsible, blah, blah, blah. But then when they told me like, oh, you need to bring more of you into it. You need to, join two things together. Don't separate it. Then I was wondering, okay, it is actually true because, for example, there are many things that I felt could be really savage to say, like whether personal development, relationships, etc. And I was kind of scared to actually be polarizing and attracting all the negative comments from people, because it can be very scary that when people start to, throw in certain comments, disagreements, etc., which actually happened a few times. As I started to have more reels, more videos on my other channel, especially the Blooming Feminine Academy, which is like my academy channel, then people start to, come in and they start to have negative comments. But for example, one of them, like, oh, but like, what do women bring to the table? Like something like that. But then I also realized that the moment someone said something like that, I actually felt calm, like instead of feeling triggered like in the past. Maybe it's because I already kind of prepped myself by watching many podcasts, videos of content creators talking about that. And I actually did a lot of inner work also, of course. Then actually, like instead of feeling triggered, I responded to, buy my course, and you might actually find out because I talk about those kind of things in my course. So instead of like over explaining myself, over, defending my position, I just throw in like, buy my course and you might find out. And then I was like surprised by myself, like, wow, I can actually be savagely calm on this. Like the past me would be like, oh my God, what do I do, etc. What if there are more people who are like hating on me, hating on what I say, etc., etc. And it's also important to realize that many negative comments, they have a lot of strong projections. So sometimes I have comments that I don't really know where they actually come from. Like I talk about one thing and then the person comments something entirely different in a critical way. And then I am not really sure where they come from, but I could see that there is a lot of projection. When you talk about sensitive topics like relationship, kids, animals, politics, any kind of this, it can really trigger some wounds inside people. And people would really react, especially if they didn't do the inner work, if they didn't process things. So there is really no worries about that. And so it's like when I started this business recently, at the end of last year, really, then I came across many things like, what does it mean for me to position myself out there as the teacher and mentor for many women? Like, what does it mean for me to create these contents? Because what we do is a contribution to the world. For example, I can tell you that one of the things that I started to like really got borderline anxious about it at the beginning, and then, I don't care anymore, was that the algorithms in social media, they are so bipolar. They are bipolar because I can post the same video on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and I get different results, different engagements. And for example, in one of these, I realized that when I declared as a business, so that I had the business account, initially I was getting more views, but the moment they were rejecting me as the business account because the paperwork needed to be worked out, then my views suddenly dropped. But as I reapplied, the views suddenly got a bit up again. And then as they rejected again, I'm so bad with paperwork, with these kind of things. Then they were like, dropping again the views. And then I was wondering, like, what is it that like can, make me spread more? Because I want to, get known to the world. Like my work, I want it spread to the world. And then I started to watch and listen to podcasts, etc., about the courses, and they all talk about those. You have to have this catchy hooks. You have only 3 seconds, etc., etc., and maybe dance, have a fork with your microphone, stick to it, and do weird things so that people get hooked in your first few seconds. And then I started to, feel really, well, it is killing my creative juices because now I don't really feel compelled to create. And then I was like, no, I don't care. I'm going to continue. Create it the way that it feels the juiciest. And if it's not perfect, I don't care. I just want to, talk in more of, bringing more of me. And even, not afraid of bringing more savagery in the content. And yeah, the people who guided me, they also told me like, you're doing things right. Just keep on doing it because it takes time and consistency to, show your work to the world. And then people who feel that they resonate the way that you are, in the creative way that you are, they will already come in by time. So, for example, many YouTubers, they film videos, and many of them give up like after a week, 2, a month or 2. But as I seen, many famous YouTubers, they talk about, I had to film every day, consistently for a year or 2 before their channel and even their business took off. So who am I to actually think that, just because I posted for a month, then I will immediately have this huge success, right? And, everyone can do a funny, maybe kitties movies, like funny reels, dogs, or something stupid, like dances, something, that really catches. But then this is not really what I want to contribute to the world. And other people who feel more resonated with, they can do more of this, okay? But for me, what is juicy is for me to share what I learned about personal development, about relationships, about inner work, about feminine energy, manifestations. Those are the juicy things. So I am here to talk about these things and actually bring more of me, not being so afraid to bring out more of me in this energy. Yeah, and those who resonate, they can come to me, and then we can resonate with each other, have more juicy things talking. Because what I realized that this happens in real life as well was that since some time ago, every time I go out, as long as I carry this energy that I am comfortable with myself and not be afraid of talking about the things that I'm passionate about, like it's like magic, I go to events and immediately like the people next to me with whom we start to talk, they actually really resonate in those energies. Whereas when I don't feel so open in the past, even longer before, I actually found it hard to find people with whom I could resonate with. So it is more about, do I have the courage to actually be authentic and allow myself to broadcast this energy so that we can broadcast and identify and resonate with each other, because many things they happen energetically and subconsciously. So yeah, starting my business is definitely a lot of new inner work to me, because I already have a kid, I already got married before, and then I divorced. Now this is like all new territory, and actually can be quite fun. If you forget about, I'm not getting the views I want yet, like why do we even compare to those who already took so long? Because if we want to compare, they also took a long time, okay, to actually take off, to have more popularity, to reach more people. So unless I'm like the next Eckhart Tolle, I don't know, maybe even Eckhart Tolle took some time to build his audience and everything, okay? Yeah, so if you are also starting your business, yeah, just YouTube channel, creating your stuff, just allow yourself to have this time and be consistent. Yeah, put yourself out there so that people can find you, to see you. And of course, you can learn about, oh, okay, if I write my description with certain keywords, then the algorithm, the SEO, can identify it easier. Of course, those you can learn about it. But for example, oh, you have to dance, you have to do things, really out of character. If it doesn't really resonate, just let it go. Just forget about it. And at the end of the day, everything will be fine. Before some years ago, I actually started to create videos, and they were actually not as authentic, as in I was still a bit tense in the videos, and I actually ended up erase them. But then, since then, it was like a few years later, I started this channel again. And now I actually bring in more juicier energy. But even before, when it was like less juicy, there are still people who were already resonating with it. Okay, so this means that as long as you have the courage to put yourself out there and really becoming more and more authentic and doing the inner work for this. And yeah, you can actually check out my other videos. I talk about how I reconnected with my inner confidence, actually through reconnecting with my anger. Yeah, you can find videos about it. Maybe I'll put it on the description box. Yeah, and if you have the courage to do that, you will see how you become actually a magnet towards people who resonates with you. Because we talk a lot about manifestation, like, oh, I want to manifest my soul tribe, my soulmates, etc., etc. But they are also manifesting you. You might actually be what someone else is praying for. Like if you are creating content, etc., you might actually be what someone is praying to watch, praying to see it. And you don't never know what you create might actually be life changing for someone, even if just a little bit, okay? So, my name is Monica, and welcome to my channel. And stay in tune for more contents like this. And yeah, also let me know if you're starting a business or YouTube channel, or you're creating things. Let me know how is it going for you. Comment in the comments below. Yeah, and let me know how it is for you in your life as well.